This is dedicated to the niggas that was down from day one. Welcome to Death Row.
Like we always do about this time.
Really goes without saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, to another reaction video. Today I will be reacting to the man, the myth, the legend. Nigga that hasn't posted in several months because he kept getting attacked by Kendrick Lamar fans. Now, me, myself, as a Kendrick Lamar fan, I do not condone of you niggas bullying What's the Dirt. Please get off his dick. He's just doing his job. But, welcome to How to Strangle a Goat. Kendrick Lamar's plan to destroy Drake, created by What's the Dirt. Original video will be in the description. Now, as y'all know, it's Kendrick Lamar and Drake thing. It will be forever lasting beef. Niggas is thirsty. And let's get straight into the video. Original video will be in the description.
That Kendrick Lamar dominated the beef against Drake
Beat him up!
and came up
Beat
on
him up!
top by a significant margin. However, his win over Drake is the result of something far more powerful than just piecing up syllables.
Facts.
The most critical aspect of Kendrick's win
And
comes down to
listen,
one thing: strategy. Everything this man
before a whole bunch of Drake bots and Drake stans and Drake dick riders jump in the comments to defend their fucking 69 god, just shut the fuck up and watch the video, bro. Please.
did before the battle, in the
And like I
battle,
said, I am a Kendrick Lamar fan, so I am going to do my best to be unbiased as possible throughout this video, and I'll try my best to not let my unconscious bias show or like have some unconscious bias. Kendrick Lamar to perform twice in enemy territory. Kendrick Lamar dropped. And shout out to TDE for having their little Christmas thing, because I went with an amazing person. So shout out to the amazing person that took me. And shout out TDE. Shout out Kendrick, because he performed for 2 fucking seconds, you short ass nigga. Shout out SZA, her big ass lips. Doche, Ducci Me, whatever her name is. Shout out Gorilla because she was a special guest. Shout out J Rock, he had the best performance. Shout out Absol, he had the second best performance. Shout out Zakari, his performance fire. Shout out Isaiah Rashad. It sucks that they rushed that nigga, but fuck them for rushing him. Shout out Sir, he performed John Redcorn, that shit was gas. I'm not gonna shout out Left Gunplay. His performance was whack. He looked retarded. He took his shirt off. That nigga titties was showing, and I saw a video of him using a hard R, and I really didn't. I didn't appreciate that, so I'm not gonna let that one slide. Kendrick, you're on the fence about that, buddy. All right, let's get straight into it.
and especially after
That shit
the
was
battle,
fire though. Shout out Watts.
has been extremely calculated and downright impeccable. Let's just be real here, like the guy hasn't made a single mistake. Kendrick daydreamed about destroying Drake for a very long time, and in 2024, I believe he
Had the
crafted
opportunity
a
to.
calculated strategy, a master plan that we're gonna call How to Strangle a Goat.
Oh, son of a gun!
How do you take
Oh,
down a
shit!
powerhouse like Drake? Well, a lot of rappers wouldn't be up to the task because most of them are missing a critical piece
Black,
that
no,
Kendrick has had
Big
for a
Fake
very
Buddha,
long
keep my
time.
peace with the.
This is the secret
Okay, let me
sauce
show.
that can't be purchased,
Secret
can't
stuff.
be taught,
Oh, nigga,
or
what is this, Space
replicated.
Jam?
Without this element, Kendrick's strategy wouldn't even exist, and the beef wouldn't have happened in the first place. The precursor that fueled everything is the fact that Kendrick Lamar has an undeniable hatred towards Drake. And
Yeah.
this was the ultimate setup for everything that he did. I believe both of these MCs knew at some point that they would one day clash, but
Now, in my opinion, because I always will be a Kendrick fan and a Drake fan to a certain extent, but when I was little, I first discovered Kendrick through Good Kid, Mad City, and then I always knew about Drake. I was a fan of Drake before I even knew who Kendrick was, and then Good Kid, Mad City came out, then I became a fan. So I was like a little ass jit. And then like once the whole entire Control shit happened, and then all like the subliminals throughout the year, I'm not gonna get into all the subliminals because I'll be here for fucking ages talking about them and shit. Me as a consumer and as a fan, to be honest, I never would have thought like the beef would have happened. I just thought like the whole entire shit was just like I thought it was like literally like just propaganda, like the Civil War. There was tension there, but I didn't think like nobody was gonna like throw missiles and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I thought, like as a consumer.
I don't think Drake
Until
took it
fucking
as serious
March, I think,
because
when,
he
like, that
didn't
came
share
out.
that same hatred. Drake may have disliked Kendrick or was annoyed by him, but hate is a pretty strong word, and Kendrick definitely had this emotion with him.
Now let me say I'm the biggest hater.
I don't believe for 1 second that
Yeah, he really
2024
did hate
was
that
the
nigga, bro.
first
That shit was
time
crazy.
Kendrick picked up a pen with the intention of going at Drake. I'm convinced he started crafting verses as far back as 2013. Taking notes, studying Drake's every move.
Yeah. I don't know about studying Drake's every move. I mean, he probably has, because look at how the beef turned out and the shit that he was saying throughout the beef. Like I said, if you guys like really want to learn like more about the beef, the disses, the subliminals, yada yada yada, y'all should really check out What's the Dirt's videos, explanations on them shits. I think he did like that. He did like that. Push-ups, Euphoria, 616. I think he even did J. Cole's 7-minute drill. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But just check out What's the Dirt channel. He explained like the songs and the shits and stuff. But I definitely think Kendrick was ready to fire off on that nigga during the 2013 era, because that's when Kendrick dropped Control, and then Control had fucked up Drake's rollout for Nothing Was the Same, because everybody was focused on Nothing Was the Same, and Drake was like, bro, stop focusing on that, focus on my shit, because I'm dropping this shit, why are y'all focused on that? And then he went on interviews and saying like this shit was whack and shit like that. And then that's when Kendrick had the BT Cypher. It said, tuck the sensitive rapper back in the pajama clothes. Ha ha, joke's on you, high five. I'm bulletproof. That's exactly what he said. I feel like that time he definitely had some shit ready. So maybe Kendrick did have some shit trailing back to the 2013 ready for that nigga, bro.
Every misstep, every rumor, and he carefully analyzed all the battles that Drake was already in. I was told by an inside source that Kendrick had a diss track for Drake back in 2021 with most of the same subject matter. So without this element of hatred for Drake, Kendrick would have never had the desire to construct this plan, but the first step of his ingenious strategy is what I like to call the moral man tactic. This one was critically damaging to Drake. Make no mistake, one of Kendrick's ingenious plays in this beef was his ability to portray Drake as a complete degenerate while casting himself in the most favorable light. This was a very straightforward strategy of framing one side as bad and the other side as good. And this worked flawlessly. One of the first things that Kendrick executed out the gate, and a huge part of his game plan, was to paint Drake as a pathological liar.
Fabricating stories on the family front, cause you heard Mr. Morale. I think somebody pathetic master manipulator. You lied about your ghost riders. You lied about your crew members. Here was God's plan to show y'all the liar.
And this was a really smart move, because when Drake finally did levy allegations against Kendrick, people immediately wrote it off as Drake doing exact.
Why did you move to New York? You called the Tupac estate. I heard that one of them kids might be Dave Freeze. Your baby mama captions always screaming, "Save me." They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen. But yeah, this nigga sending a cease and desist for at UGM or UMG, and then saying
what Kendrick said he was going to do, continuously planting into the brains of the people that all they should be expecting from Drake is a whole bunch of bullshit, was done with an extreme degree of intent. Don't listen to anything that guy says. It's all gonna be a bunch of bullshit. And not only did he paint Drake as a habitual liar, but he made him out to be the most evil, despicable person on the planet. Drake hates black women.
He hates black women, hypersexualize them.
Drake is a misogynistic body shamer.
You a body shamer. You go hide them baby mamas.
That's one of the things. That's one of the things with this beef. I feel like Kendrick really, I mean, throughout Drake's career, Drake has always had beef going through like rap battles throughout his career, whether it was Meek Mill, Pusha T, Joe Budden, and all them niggas. And like, certain niggas like even talked about him like being a culture vulture, him being this and that. And Kendrick Lamar, he didn't say anything that nobody didn't know about. He just reiterated everything, and then he threw in the thing of Drake being a weirdo to women. And I don't. The question I have for the audience is how was Kendrick able to be successful to do that? I mean, Pusha T. I mean, the only thing Pusha T had was the kid bombshell. Joe Budden, his beat didn't really last with that nigga. Meek Mill started bitching on Twitter and shit like that. But it's like, what made Kendrick so successful in this beat? Maybe because of Kendrick's status.
Drake is a
his
rat.
Straight up bars.
Drake is a horrible father.
Waking them up, know nothing about that. Tell them to pray,
know nothing about that.
And the fucking deadbeat that should never say more life. And a child should never be compromised, and he keeping his child around him.
Drake is a terrible friend.
No rain grow while he was in jail. That's conniving.
Drake's own team even hates him.
Everyone inside your team is whispering that you deserve it.
Drake is a bully.
Fake bully, I hate bullies.
You must be a terrible person.
Drake is a coward.
Understand, no throwing rocks and
Damn, he was really throwing shade at
Drake
this nigga.
is a
Like, bro, I
gambling,
really, bro,
addicted
damn. Like,
psychopath.
if you summarize this shit, like, holy shit.
Addictions, psychopath intuition.
Drake is completely sadistic. The guy belongs in a padded room.
Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think niggas like him should die.
Drake is a pedophile.
Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young.
And he's also a sex trafficker.
Him and Weinstein should get fucked up in a cell for the rest they life. Or better yet, selling your
Weinstein
niece
dead?
to the weirdo.
Again, the framework is
Weinstein
good
dead.
versus
Weinstein's
evil.
still
If you're supporting Drake, you're pretty much co-signing all this other shit that I just told you about. Kendrick started planting these seeds very early on in the beef. The logic was to make Drake look like such a bad person that there's no way anything he would have to say would have any sort of truth to it. Then the allegations just kept getting worse and worse with every record. And because Kendrick set this thing up the way that he did, by the end of the beef, people were actually convinced that Drake was this person.
Here's what I have to say about the whole entire Drake shit, though. You gotta, like I said this, bro, you gotta separate the art from the artist. Makes great music. You can never take that away from Drake. Drake does make great music. He makes good music. You cannot take that away from him. You can never say Drake doesn't make good music. He makes good music. Whether it's old Drake or whichever Drake you prefer, at the end of the day, you can sit here and say Drake makes good music. But Aubrey Graham, that's the person outside of music, is who really isn't a good person. That's what Kendrick is saying. Even some shit that Drake talks about in his songs, Kendrick doesn't like. So you gotta separate the art from the artist.
And a lot of these things about Drake aren't even true, but that didn't matter. This is a beef. He's not supposed to paint Drake in a positive light. In contrast, Kendrick painted himself as the complete opposite and gave the impression that he was nothing like Drake, that he could actually be trusted, and that he was a man of integrity and morals. He made it clear that he loves the children and that he's here for the children.
Put my children to sleep.
Right, that's why he was at the TDE thing. He was there for the kids, bro. Even though that nigga was there for 2 fucking seconds, little bitch ass. But anyways, he was still there for the kids.
He even said that he made his last album specifically for the children.
What, Mr. Morale?
I made Mr. Morale, so our babies like you can cope.
He talks about how he understands
Morale. That's a hot
women and what they
take.
go
Let's
through,
be
and
honest.
he empathizes with them, and he's
Mr.
here to
Morale's
protect
still
them.
classic, but GNX is better than that.
Girls that's hurt inside this climate.
A deep ass album. Shit make me want to cry.
You a woman, so you know how it feels to be in alignment. Nigga better not speak on Serena.
He makes clear distinctions between Drake's character and his character.
I make music that electrify 'em. You make music that pacify 'em. I'm allergic to the lame shit. Only you like being famous. Why would I call around trying to get dirt on niggas? Y'all think of my life as rap? That's whole shit. I got a son to raise.
Do I really seem like the guy that's gonna be digging up dirt on people? Like that's a Drake thing. I got kids to raise.
I'm sorry that I live a boring life. I love peace.
Kendrick is all about the butterflies and the lullabies, and he sheds a tear.
And then
that
that was another distinct thing about the whole entire beef. With Drake's whole entire life, you always see Drake in the spotlight, whether it's him at the clubs and his music videos, or him at these award shows, him just like outside, like you always see Drake in the spotlight and in the limelight. And with Kendrick, like you really don't see him. Like he just like be laid back in the cut. And 50 Cent said this about in an interview. 50 Cent tried to say the whole entire industry was after Drake because they're tired of seeing him win and shit like that. I don't agree with that whatsoever, because if that was the case, then they would have been packed up Drake or somebody try to body Drake like all the way, like not like body as in like a rap battle, like body him or like try to replace him with a different, or try to have another rapper fill in his spot, because Drake has always been in the top of the charts and shit like that. I feel like the people just saw the nigga getting a body and they picked him over. Or there's people in the industry, such as certain artists, that didn't like Drake because they had a certain type of beef with Drake. For example, Future and Drake. Now, from what I've seen, niggas are sleeping with niggas' girls. That's from what I've seen. I don't know. But that's another reason why people don't like this nigga. And then shit happens, and then somebody starts to diss you, and then they make better bars than you, better songs than you, and then they're on a roll, and they continue to be on that roll, and then you're not in that roll, and then you're spiraling out of control, and then you're doing bullshit like suing niggas.
Baby cries.
I don't have a hating bone in my body.
I don't have a hating bone in my body. I'm just here to protect everyone from all these perverts over here.
I'm looking to shoot through any pervert that lives, keep the family safe.
So when we really zoom out, this is the narrative that was painted that worked insanely well in the beef. Drake is someone that hates black women. I love all women. Drake is a deadbeat dad. I tuck my kids in with a prayer every night. Drake is a sadistic psychopath. I live a boring life that's all about love and peace. Drake is a habitual liar. I'm here to tell you guys the truth. Drake is a sick PDF file. I'm here to protect the children and women. And regardless of what's true and what's not true, didn't matter. Like, people ate all this shit up. Kendrick was incredibly smart with this approach because he already had somewhat of a sweetheart reputation, and Drake's very public life was anything but that. Kendrick knew exactly what he needed to do and say to craft a narrative of good versus evil, and it worked flawlessly. Kendrick Lamar came in on 10, right? Like, he was very, very meticulous. All right, so the second thing that Kendrick did in his strategy
now,
of
before we
strangling
move
the goat,
on, no, I never said Kendrick was a perfect human being, but comparing him to Drake, who's the better human being from what I've seen? Obviously, K-Dot. Now, like I said, Kendrick did have a Mexican artist on his album that said the N-word. I don't really fuck with that. But compare that to a whole entire drink that Drake does, I think that doesn't really
was that he put on a master class on how to validate the public. And he did this one extremely well. Outside of the fact that Kendrick brought forth every rumor and conspiracy theory in existence about Drake, but he also knew exactly what to say to the audience to validate their pre-existing beliefs.
Somebody's lying, I can see the vibes on act. You looking compromised.
All right, so people are calling act compromised? Like, that's the buzzword right now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that in the music.
Most played song was Not Like Us on Spotify shit.
You're playing nerdy with Zach Bia and Twitter bots.
Again, these were all things mentioned by people before, but Kendrick understands what it is to validate the audience and their opinions, and that when he does this, they absolutely love it.
Once upon a time,
all of us was in chains. Homies still double down, calling us some slaves.
People hated that line about slavery from Drake, and he knows that. He's been paying attention, so he puts it in the music. Another thing that Kendrick did extremely well was he painted the situation as if he was up against the industry in the battle and was here to expose information.
Everybody was on Drake's side. That's the whole entire thing too. People were saying, oh, they were just dig riding Kendrick. No, bro, y'all got to keep in mind points during the beef. Drake was up. Drake was never down during the fucking beef. Drake was up at certain points of the beef. And even the industry and these music critics and shit like that, for example, the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne and them, they were on Drake's side and shit. And you could literally just go on Google and look up the music industry during Kendrick and Drake's beef, and some creator made like a 10-minute shit of it, and it's like all these music critics and people like from the industry siding with Drake, calling Kendrick out like before Kendrick dropped songs, and even Kendrick dropped songs and shit like that. So just look it up, like bro, Drake had people, or people were on Drake's side. I like Lil, like bro, when Lil Yachty tried to say everybody was against Drake in the beginning, bro, that's bullshit. Because Drake was up during certain parts of the beef, and the niggas in the industry was on Drake's side. Within the industry, or people who are associated with the industry.
In reality, Kendrick is the industry, and he's not exposing anything that hasn't been discussed for decades now, but it's all about putting numbers on the board. Like, he knows these things are gonna hit. Kendrick is insanely tapped into what's being said online. He understands how much people are drawn to these ideas, so he's given the people exactly what they want to hear. And like I said, he takes this a whole step further because he positions it like he's the one that's up against the industry.
Him and Weinstein should get fucked up in a cell for the rest of their life.
The Weinstein and Drake comparisons were actively going on within Kendrick's community long before this track dropped, but Kendrick understands the power of validating the public's beliefs. It gives people a chance to say, oh shit, like I've been saying that for years, and now Kendrick's saying it. I was right.
That's kind of crazy to think about that. Bro, what the fuck is this? I don't care if you don't eat Cheez-Its. Them shits is nasty, bro. What are you, in the first grade eating Cheez-Its? Please get this off my screen. Oh my goodness. Y'all don't need all that for your quote-unquote skincare. All you need to do is eat healthy, drink healthy, and wash your face thoroughly. You don't need to put all them shits on your face. Please get this off my screen so I can continue with the video. Thank you very much. What's the dirt? Holy shit. I understand you get your money, but
they know exactly what you're doing. And this is all smart. Like, people loved it when he said things like this. Kendrick was masterful at this. He had a way of making people feel like they were part of something bigger, like they were special just for aligning with what he was saying.
The audience not dumb. Shape the stories how you want. Hey Drake, they're not slow. 5% will comprehend, but 95 is lost.
I hear that last quote all the time, and I'm not saying it's everybody here, but I hear that quote from literally some of the slowest people on the internet. I swear to God.
The embassy about to get raided too.
Facts. Like, I be going on Instagram and like say, like, for example, when Complex was posting about the whole TDE Christmas thing at Watson Kendrick performed, they show how Kendrick performed Humble and then Squabble Up. People were like are praising Kendrick, and then the whole entire show, and then them being for the kids and shit like that. And then there's like this one motherfucker that be on Instagram, like this nigga's a bot, and like he's a dreadhead. He be like, Drake, Kendrick wouldn't have been here in his career, but y'all not ready for that conversation yet. Like, it's that what, like, y'all watching this video probably know who the fuck I'm talking about, but that bitch ass nigga, bro, that fucking NPC ass bot, like he's a part of that 5%. That
Kendrick
5% of dumbass niggas.
What he's doing. He understands that narratives like this one will make people absolutely lose their minds. He's tapping into every boxed in and Reddit conspiracy theory, and fans are eating it up. He was really paying attention. Like, he studied this. He read everything. Nothing got past him in this beef. And look, a lot of people wrote this one off as bullshit, but after Not Like Us dropped, quite a few of Kendrick's lines were found to be old tweets from random Twitter accounts. At first, I felt this was also coincidental, but because I've noticed this obvious trend of him or his team using talking points from online, I personally can't rule this out anymore. And I'm not going to say it's a 100% chance that he did this, but I'm also not going to say it's 0% either, because it's obvious he was getting talking points from the general public and the internet. Validating the public was an extremely powerful tactic in his victory against Drake, but number 3 is equally as important, as Kendrick studied what works.
It was written like Nas, but it came from Quentin.
A huge part of Kendrick's game plan went into studying the results of Drake's previous beefs. What are the things that
Whatever
worked?
happened to Meek
What are the
Mill?
things that didn't work?
Fuck does he
and
do
it's
with
pretty
his
obvious
life?
that Kendrick honed in on the methods used by Pusha T as he was successful at taking down Drake. On the story of Adidon, Pusha had a whole bunch of shots towards Kendrick's mom, his dad, like the family. He had lots of angles about that.
Marriage is something that Sandy never had, Drake. Dennis Graham, stay off the gram, bitch, I'm on one.
Meet the Grams is essentially an extension of what Pusha did with Drake. It was like the story of Adidon on steroids, as Kendrick would take it a step further by writing personal letters to each family member.
Dear Adonis, dear Sandra, dear
Yeah,
Dennis.
when that
Between
song
these two
dropped, I
records,
was
there is a
fucking
lot
scared
of
for my life.
similarities.
Deadbeat motherfucker playing border patrol. Fucking deadbeat that should never say more life. Your father walked away at 5, hell of a dad thing. His father probably didn't claim him neither.
Kendrick would also use very similar angles in the battle, like questioning Drake's blackness.
Confused, always felt you weren't black enough. Afraid to grow it cause your fro wouldn't nap enough. How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough?
And Kendrick would also use the angle of pitting Drake's team against
that a
him
mall?
by planting seeds of
They're
doubt
doing that in
within
a
his
mall?
camp.
It wasn't that she was divulging it.
She divulges to 40.
Yeah, she's having sex with
Telling her
nigga.
Have you ever thought that OVO is working for me?
And this worked because Kendrick was able to get inside Drake's head.
Was
and-
40
and
the
it was
mole
really
that
messing
gave
with
Kendrick
him.
info?
This nigga sent me a rat emoji.
Kendrick also took note of just how effective revealing a shocking secret was and how this ultimately won the battle for Pusha. In fact, Kendrick took such great note of this that he even came with the exact same secret.
The question mark right here.
Now, does
question
Drake have a
mark.
daughter? I can't rule it out. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Nigga,
Drake.
I don't know.
think he does, but it's possible. Like I said, Kendrick really hates Drake, and I think he played this shit like Moneyball. What can I say that'll get me on base? What's gonna get points? What worked in the past? What are the general public saying? All this was taken into account, not just in 2024, but for over a decade. When Kendrick said that he had 5 more in stock, like 5 more in the
He
chamber,
sure do.
I totally believe him because I think he was sitting on so much material that
I
there's a
feel
lot
like
he didn't
and
even
then
use.
because Kendrick said, "Oh, not like us," that he has 5 more in the chamber for Drake. I feel like ever since GNX or ever since not GNX, Watch the Party Die. Well, when he posted that song on his Instagram, I feel like ever since he posted Watch the Party Die, I feel like he even somehow like made at least a few more disses for Drake. Just in case.
And
I know
some
he
might
did.
call this level of hatred crazy, but Kendrick knew this day was coming, and he came in on 10. From his perspective, this is hip-hop, and hell is gonna have to freeze over for Drake to ever get the upper hand. There was just no way he was taking an L to Drake. No fucking way. Moving on to number 4 in Kendrick's strategy of how to strangle a goat is without a doubt the timing of his records. This one is very, very important. You can't engage in a battle without laying down some bait, and Kendrick lured Drake into this thing in a very strategic way. Talking about timing, 2 days before this record dropped, Drake and J. Cole had just finished a joint tour. They were on a
Caught that
whole
nigga
wave
while he
of
was lacking.
positivity, giving each other
Exhausted.
flowers, promoting each other's music, making records together, and I know this is a Future and Metro track, but this was definitely discussed, and Kendrick wanted this thing to drop at this time.
But was it Future or Metro that said that they didn't? Because at first Kendrick's verse wasn't added to like that. I think it got finalized like the day before the album dropped, and somebody inside the studio, I think it was Future, said some bullshit talking about he didn't know that verse was added or some shit like that. I don't believe that shit. Metro and Future were trolling the fuck out of the general public during this beef, saying, "Oh, they didn't know that them niggas were beefing, or that shit wasn't serious, or X, Y, and
I
Z."
see
Them
your
niggas
little
were trolling
bromance
niggas,
you guys
bro.
got going on. That's cool. That's cute. I'll wait for that to be over. But I'm about to shake this thing up.
Them niggas should know what time it is.
To say Kendrick drew inspiration from his own Control verse would be an understatement. We all know the impact that this control verse had, and if it's not broken, there's no need to fix it.
Motherfuck the big three. Nigga, it's just big me, nigga.
So Kendrick pretty much said, I know how effective this is. I'm going to follow the same blueprint again. I'm going to hop on a guest feature and go completely nuts. But this time, I'm going to build on it and be far more direct.
For all your dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these nines.
And again, timing is really important on this because Drake still had a few shows left from his solo tour. So while this record is going absolutely nuts, Drake can't escape this thing. He has to listen to it. He has to hear about it. He has to watch it go #1. And the thing that the boy loves the most is going #1.
I got my fucking head up high.
Facts. I remember that clip.
I'm 10 fucking toes down, and I know that no matter what, there's not a nigga on this earth that can ever fuck with me in my life.
However, the essence of timing his drop strategically only continues throughout this beef. Drake would drop push-ups and tailor-made, and it's here where Kendrick goes quiet.
I think
no post on social media, no public statements.
Was it a week later?
Nothing. And this was also a deliberate strategy as he gave Drake a false sense of security in the beef. Drake really thought he had this thing in the bag.
Yeah.
He really...
Right when Drake fucking dropped push-ups and then tailor-made freestyle, Drake was online trolling the fuck out of him. He was trolling him. And like it got to the point where my friend, he's a huge Drake fan, that nigga was trolling me. And I was seeing the comments on Complex, how people were saying, oh, Kendrick's not going to respond, Kendrick's a bitch, Kendrick is X, Y, and Z, Drake is bodying this nigga, X, Y, and Z. Like I said, there were people who were going for Drake. And there was niggas on Drake's side. And then all I said was, watch when all... I literally told my friend, the nigga was trying to agitate me with all this trolling shit like Drake was doing. And I tell him, watch when he drops. That's what I said. I said, watch when he drops. I said, you could do all this trolling shit, but watch when he drops. And what the fuck happened? He fucking dropped.
Really thought Kendrick was stumped and didn't even think he was going to respond.
I know you in that NY apartment, you struggling right now. I know it.
He was doing all that trolling.
While Drake trolled Kendrick on social media, Kendrick was looking at this thing like an actual war. A good chess player might predict their opponent's next move, but a great player predicts the next couple of moves.
Facts.
It was during this period of being quiet where I believe Kendrick was simply tweaking his strategy. What am I going to use against Drake? What am I going to hold back? What style of record will I drop here? What style of record will I end off with? I believe Kendrick recorded a bunch of different diss records.
That whole entire week, because like I said, I think it took Kendrick a week to drop Euphoria after Drake dropped Tailor Made. Because it took Drake a month and I think a solid month to drop push-ups after like that. And then Drake dropped Tailor Made, I think 2 or 3 days later or a day later in the time span of that. And then I think it took Kendrick like a week later or 10 days later to drop Euphoria. I solidly believe within that whole entire 10 days, even like during when the beef was going on, I even believed it in that moment. Like, hey, during this whole entire time he's quiet and you niggas are trolling and shit. Like he's just in his studio 24/7. Like he has to be like sleeping in that studio just making shit to go against this nigga.
Used or not used based on what Drake's next move was. Okay, if Drake does this, I got this for him. But if he goes over here with it, I'm gonna give him this one. I think he had a bunch of. I think he was really prepared. And if we're gonna talk about timing, Kendrick's next drop might just be the greatest play in the history of hip hop beef, as Drake chose to go with a fairly melodic, upbeat record.
Hands on your knees, shake that ass for Drake, now shake that ass for free.
Okay, so Drake went the melodic route, something like back to back. Perfect, just what I expected. I got just the record to completely suck the life out of this thing.
Your son got some habits, I hope you don't hunt
20 minutes fucking later.
56 minutes after Family Matters, Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams, and holy shit, what a difference in tone, what a difference stylistically. It was the perfect record to drop.
And it wasn't supposed to be a hit, it was just straight bars.
Perfect. Meet the Grams was not something to dance to. This was dark, scathing, very personal. If you turn this shit on, you would probably only scare the women away. But again, the most important part of this is 100% all about the timing. Let's just live in a world where Family Matters had a chance to breathe a little bit.
Facts.
Let's say Kendrick didn't respond until a couple days later. Well, first off, the allegations levied by Drake would have had way more room to circulate, and fans would have set an expectation for Kendrick to at least address the shit that Drake said. But what Meet the Grams did was it stepped on it so bad that it's like nothing we've ever seen. Secondly, Family Matters isn't the type of record you want hanging around for a couple days on its own. The track was pretty catchy, and the last thing you want is this thing shifting into back-to-back territory. It could have went there. It definitely could have went there if Kendrick delayed the drop of Meet the Grams.
Like I saw a post on Instagram. It said Family Matters would have destroyed 99.9% of rappers' careers. And then it said, but Kendrick was that 0.01%. And that was fucking insane. Like, I had the biggest headache that night. I was literally sitting down. I could never forget this shit. Because 616 had dropped that morning. When 616 dropped that morning, Kendrick told this nigga, he literally warned this nigga, bro, because he knew Drake was going to drop Family Matters. He told this nigga, don't do it, because if you do it, it's not going to be pretty. What did Drake do? Drake later that night ended up dropping Family Matters. And I sat there in my chair at my desk, and I was playing Family Matters on my speaker. And then my friend James texted me. He said, and he's a Kendrick Lamar fan too. Like, he's a Kendrick Lamar stan. And he's texted me saying, that nigga Drake got him. And then when he texted me that, I just saw the text and I just kept listening to the track. So then after the song got over, I was like, okay. I gave my thoughts on the song. The first half of the song I thought was fire, but then the other two halves I really didn't care for. But I was like, okay. And then 56 minutes later, I get a notification on YouTube by this nigga Kendrick. And I was like, there's no way he dropped. And yeah, the rest is history, bro.
Dynamic where this beef went could have drastically changed.
It's like some 9/11 shit. Like, you know where you were on that day.
Exactly what Drake was going to come with because Drake revealed his angles on push-ups and on Taylor Made, which was a huge mistake by Drake, revealing his hand. It's like he thought, okay, I got these allegations against Kendrick. This will be enough to really fuck him up in this beef. But what Kendrick did was he crafted a...
Y'all can't see the lyric because my big ass is in the way, but it says I be with some bodyguards like Winnie. That was a lyric that Drake said on push-ups. And that ultimately took the beef where it took it, because Drake took it somewhere that it didn't need to go. You know, that's the same thing that he did with Pusha T. Because he said in W Freestyle, he said, I'm going to make it ring on you like Virginia Williams, whatever Pusha T's wife's name. And then once he did that, then the story of Adonis came out. But then even Pusha T said in the interview, he was like, bro, why did you mention my wife? Now I gotta take it to somewhere that it didn't need to go because you decided to take it into that realm.
Strategy, knowing what he was gonna say, that totally took the power away from all of it. Genius. However, once the shock factor went away, people started picking apart the verse about the daughter. A lot of people were claiming that sonically, Meet the Grams had zero replay value, and that's something I agree with. I just don't see who's listening to this on a day-to-day basis. But most diss records aren't hits. Like, battling is not about dancing. It's about who can disrespect the other person more.
Exactly.
And Meet the Grams, in this case,
I mean, y'all can say, well, Ether.
But the game of chess was far from
over. Was there.
Kendrick
like, okay,
likely
cool,
recognized
that
Meet the Grams alone might not be enough to counter someone with Drake's hit-making ability. So within 24 hours, he delivered an absolute
next fucking morning. I'm literally next fucking morning. I'm literally getting my fucking hair braided, and I get a notification on Instagram. I mean, not on Instagram, on YouTube, telling me that this nigga dropped. And I was like, there's no fucking way he dropped again. And I grabbed my speaker, I put that bitch on full blast, and I started crip walking, nigga.
Now Kendrick not only has a scathing and disrespectful track in Meet the Grams, but he's also delivered the perfect counter to Family Matters, as Not Like Us was an even bigger record. The record is a full-blown smash, and the timing was impeccable. And by the way, guys, this How to Strangle a Goat video is all about analyzing Kendrick's moves during the battle. I've got another video lined up titled Kendrick's Victory Lap, where we're going to break down everything he did after the battle. The moves that he made after the battle, to me, is equally as impressive. Like, I want to make a really good piece on it. And by the way, if you want something dope to remember the beef by, this is my merch right here. And what I did.
Don't fucking do it, bro. Just stick to the
He's
video.
so good at doing this that people don't even realize like what he's doing.
Then notice I said we, it's not just me. I'm what the culture feeling.
Kendrick played this all really smart because he's positioning himself as the person that's speaking for everybody.
That's what Joe Biden did when he was beefing with Drake.
I'm here to stand up for what's right. I'm doing this for all of us.
Tell them run to America to imitate heritage. They can't imitate this violence.
And it's lines like this one where he deliberately makes the distinction between Canada and America. This is also really clever because now he's making the beef about geography. Kendrick's right, like, we're not gonna let these Canadians copy us. And many people don't take notice to little things like this, but it's one of many ways that Kendrick subtly shaped the narrative. It's like he's saying, look, I don't know who else is with me here, but I'm American. We made this culture. This other guy, he's from Canada. This guy's a total outsider.
Somebody had told me that you got a ring on God.
I'm ready to double wedge. I'm ready to that and let a Canadian nigga make Pac turn his grave.
Are we really gonna let this Canadian, who's not part of our
disrespect
culture,
Machiavelli,
take Pac's ring? I'm gonna be the one to stand on business here. This is gonna resonate with people in hip hop because who doesn't like Tupac? Like the guy is an icon.
Is Tupac top 100 influencers all time or influential people all time? Why the fuck am I looking at these 4 people? Pringles are nasty. Don't eat them. Them shits will get you sick. Stay away from them chips. Please stop with the ads. Oh my goodness. I'm about to throw a fit. I'm about to throw a fit. Thank you. And they continue to show. What is this? Not JD? No. Actually, JD is fire, but they're not paying me to show them.
I even hate when you say the word nigga, but that's just me, I guess.
Kendrick is pretty much saying, look, this could just be me, but I personally don't like the way that Drake says that. Like, I don't know about you guys.
We don't want to hear you say nigga no more.
Stop. We don't want to hear you say that anymore. Another brilliant tactic that Kendrick employed in this beef was when he removed all the copyright claims from his diss tracks on YouTube.
Nah, people were still getting copyrighted.
To make money off reactions.
There's a few people who were still getting copyrighted though.
And was a masterfully calculated move.
I mean, like, if I become monetized, I'm gonna have to go back to all my videos in the past to cut my intro out because I use this Euphoria song.
Spreading them to an even bigger
gonna have to change
audience.
it going into the new year.
This is unheard of. No one has ever done this before. And what a play. He pulled out every stop that he could in this beef. And of course, as this is very much intertwined with culture, a big part of Kendrick's strategy was also painting Drake as not just an outsider, but a complete culture
Didn't Hip Hop Madness use that?
How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough?
And that's such a bar too, like the black features because he had the braids, and then the black features like musically. Such a bar.
Get off his dick. Anyways, I need a few dollars.
Can't give you no swag neither. I don't give a fuck about who you hanging with.
Pitting the culture against Drake was the best angle that Kendrick could have ever took in this beef. He took a strong position of painting Drake as an outsider whilst making people feel like they were also part of the fight, and it totally worked. It didn't just work, like this really worked. At this point, you can see that Kendrick's strategy is 100% dialed already, but the sixth aspect that he implemented in order to defeat Drake was that he beat Drake at his own game.
And shout to all my boss bitches.
Like niggas.
Who could forget Back to Back, the hit record that Meek Mill couldn't get away from, as it was constantly being played at sporting events, on the radio, nightclubs, and triggered
that's the thing though. But here's the thing though. So when Drake drops Back to Back and is being played fucking everywhere, like he said, nightclubs, sporting events, on the radio, XYZ, when Drake is performing it at Oktoberfest and shit like that. Oh, it's fine. It's not corny. He's not dragging it. He's not using Meek Mill for fucking clout. But yet, when Kendrick drops Not Like Us and it's being played literally everywhere in our mama, oh, he's using bots. Oh, he's using Drake for exposure. Oh, he's dragging it. Oh, it's overplayed. Oh, it's a fucking problem. Like, what the fuck is the difference? What the fuck is the difference? What's the difference with Drake performing back to back at Oktoberfest, back to back, and then Kendrick performing Not Like Us at the Pop Out concert? What's the difference between Drake or people playing back to back everywhere and then people playing Not Like Us everywhere? What's the difference? Please tell me what's the difference. There's no fucking difference.
And this also ties into studying Drake's previous beefs because he clearly looked at his approach with Meek. What better way to humiliate Drake than by hitting him exactly where it hurts by dominating a space that he takes great pride in being the best at, being #1 on the charts. You don't need to have a technical ear for recognizing what a hit record sounds like to know that Not Like Us was destined to be a #1 record. I wasn't even halfway through the record when I paused it and looked at my girl and said, he's got a #1 record here. Like,
Facts.
this is out of here.
Facts. And the thing is, my housemate, he literally walked in on me while I was playing the song, and then he heard the song play. He literally told me to pause the music. I paused it. He said that shit is going to be played everywhere. He said it's going to be played everywhere, especially in LA, because you know it was an LA vibe. But he said it's going to be played everywhere. And next thing you know, later that evening, I was seeing clips of that song being played fucking everywhere. It was ridiculous. Damn, that shit was ridiculous.
This is a major, major problem for Drake, this record. Not Like Us is not even just a hit. It's a full-on smash, meaning I don't think this record is going anywhere for a very long time. I personally don't see a time in at least the next decade where this record isn't being played at some capacity. There's a big difference in a hit and a smash.
Please turn that shit off. Do you know that
Joe Budden still gets a nice check every year from this record? A track he did over 20 years ago.
Bump it
and
up.
That's because Pump It Up is one of those tracks that you'd be hard-pressed not to hear at a ball game. And I feel like Not Like Us is also
it's like
one
Mariah
of those
Carey's The Christmas
What's more
song.
impressive
She gets
about
paid
Not Like
$4 million
Us is it's a
every
diss
Christmas
record.
for that
It's
bloody
a diss
song.
record that is a smash. I'm just going to go off top here and say that 98% of diss tracks will just come and go. Very seldom does an artist catch one where they're disrespecting someone and it's at the top of the charts.
Let me see that
at the
poster.
same
That
time.
looked like a firehouse poster. Hold on. This reaction video about to be long as fuck.
Very seldom does an artist catch one where they're disrespecting.
Let me see this. 30 best hip hop diss songs featuring Kendrick versus Drake, Jay-Z and Nas, Tupac, Ice Cube, Remy Ma. Who did Remy Ma diss? Gucci Mane. Who did he diss? Eminem, MCA, Cameron, 50 Cent.
And it's at the top of the charts at the same time. We can pretty much count those on one hand. So when it comes to beating Drake at his own game, Kendrick literally secured the biggest diss record of all time. I didn't say it was the best diss record, but it's definitely the biggest. It's definitely the most successful. And if you don't like the record, your life is going to suck because I don't think it's going anywhere. Like, you're going to have to listen to this
no
for
matter
quite
what.
some time. I really believe that.
Yeah, that shit was
and one thing
played,
that we
man.
could say about Drake is he's really good with quotables in his music. And this is something else that Kendrick outperformed him in, as he had far more standout lines than Drake. I'm talking about a part where the DJ kills the music and then everyone's singing that part back.
What is it, the breaks? Motherfuck the big three. Nigga, it's just big me. Certified lover boy, certified pedophiles. Freaky ass nigga, he a 69.
God.
It really is an art to be really good at doing these types of things, but notice that Kendrick, he uses like specific things that he wants to make sure these are the things that ring off. These are the things that I want people to remember, and all that's done with intent. Next, I want to get into some noteworthy items that Kendrick used that I can't really group into a category, but they're all equally as important. These are all still huge factors in the beef and how he won. First off, the public's perception of Drake, even before this beef started, wasn't really at its best. People were shitting all over his last album, and then he had beefs with a bunch of other artists. The optics of all the issues that Drake had with other people over the years had completely compounded, and it was one of those things where people would say, Is it really all these other people that's the problem, or could
Is
it
it
be
him?
Drake? And all this did was really help Kendrick's moral man strategy, where it's like, okay, I'm a really good guy, but like everyone's hating on this guy. Could it really be me? It really helped.
Facts. Am I the
Next,
problem?
two
That's
artists
what I'm
lead
saying in my
completely
relationships.
different
Am I the
lifestyles.
problem?
Kendrick has maintained a very private life, while Drake has been highly public. Drake's history includes a bunch of beefs and scandals
come to
where
find out, I could never be the
Kendrick
problem.
had plenty of material to draw from,
That's beyond
while
me.
Drake didn't really have
Straight
much
like
data at all.
Kendrick's a tough person to go up against in a beef because there's not much there aside from his art, his music, and maybe a few things you might have heard about him.
Another brilliant aspect of Kendrick's approach is his use of subliminal Easter eggs. That weird noise at the beginning of 616, which drove me crazy.
I just
The
think that was just the
KTW
track
thing
starting
also
up.
drove me nuts.
The Elohim KTW.
That looping sample that he used that sounded like it said Boy Wonder. He truly incorporated a wealth of these Easter eggs throughout the whole beef.
I can double down on that line, but spade this time. I be at New Hall King eating fried rice with a dip sauce and a
blimey, cruddy.
Find the Jews like cash dog. I just need you to think. And one of them is actually next to.
And all this did was add a layer of mystique to Kendrick's music, and it kept fans talking. Some of the things that he mentioned in this beef are things that people are still trying to dissect
Damn,
today.
I've been going for 50
It had
minutes.
people
This is my
going nuts,
longest reaction
including me.
video.
Like, what in the fuck is he talking about? This guy's on some like jigsaw, cryptic, crazy shit. Like Kendrick's demented. Kendrick is like a madman. Like that all helps, and Drake barely had any of these. Another really intelligent choice made by Kendrick was that he opted out of entertaining any of the allegations that Drake had against him.
Somebody said
Kendrick
that,
decided
and that
not
was a
to
great
even
tactic that he
bother with
did.
addressing
And that was
any
the thing
of
that
Drake's
Drake
claims
fucked up
because
on.
he
Well,
already
didn't fuck
saw
up on.
the
He
power
just
in his
on the Hard Part
strategy
6. The Hard Part 6
painting
was a
Drake
horrible
as a
song by
liar,
Drake.
and he
just
knew
was
damn
on
well
the
that dropping
defense,
Meet
like
the
on the ropes
Gramps
the whole entire
56
time.
minutes after Family Matters would completely void Drake's
That looked like
claims
a good-ass
anyways.
cake, I'm
The
not gonna
man
lie.
set the whole thing up so he didn't even need to respond. In fact, what he did was Kendrick placed the ball right into Drake's court, making it so that Drake had to address Kendrick's allegations. Why do you think we got the Heart Part 6?
I'm way too famous for the shit you just suggested, but
At the end of the day,
Saying
Kendrick was
bullshit
waiting
on
for
that
this
track.
moment for a very long
Talking
time,
about I
and it
would've
shows.
been arrested.
He crafted an impeccable
Fuck you talking
strategy that
about?
included 1, the moral man tactic, making this a battle of good versus evil. 2, he
into
understood
the
the power of
public's position,
validating the
beliefs,
public
telling them
and
what
their
they wanna
overall
hear.
perception. 3, he studied Drake's past battles and had a clear understanding of what worked. 4, he planned out the timing of his
Timing is
record so that
everything.
nobody on earth could have predicted it. 5, he weaponized the culture
culture.
against Drake, painting him as a vulture in the process. 6, he beat Drake at his own game with a smash hit. And 7, he had a bunch of other noteworthy things that he utilized as well. So when it comes to how Kendrick strangled a goat, this is essentially how he did it. This is what he did, 100%. This was the
Crazy.
basis of how he defeated
It's
Drake.
crazy how
And I
like
got a video
throughout
coming,
war,
don't forget.
you really
Victory
gotta like
Lap on
plan whether
Kendrick.
it's
We're
like
gonna go through
combat
all the
war
things
or
that he
war
did
like this, or even in
after the
sports.
beat in great detail.
You really gotta study the enemy. All right, y'all. I'm gonna end here. This is a long ass reaction video. I think this is the longest I ever done. Once again, this is how the Strangle go. Kendrick Lamar's plan to destroy Drake. This is created by What's the Dirt original video in the description. Comment down below what your guys' thoughts on the video was. What What's the Dirt said, what I said, the whole entire thing about the bees, things that we all left out or that y'all noticed and shit like that. I got Jones one. I will see y'all in the next one. Grayson out.
Since you ain't, I even, and all of, I'm the justice, and even, and all of, I'm the, since you ain't, I even.